Well, over a period of about 20 years, we amassed a credit card debt of $67,000. And I had just come to the point where I'd given up. I thought that there's no way I would ever get that paid off. I anticipated going to the home with credit card debt, so I just kind of resigned myself to it. And a friend of mine suggested that I call credit counseling, and to be honest, I had no idea what Credit Counseling Society was all about at the time. I was reluctant to call because I really thought that I would get some condescending person on the phone, saying, "Well, this is all your fault. Look what you've done to yourself," sort of thing. But it never happened for one moment. My counselor, Sandra, was the most compassionate, caring person, and I don't usually kind of relate that to a money kind of situation. But she was my own personal cheerleader. Every time we'd be talking on the phone or she'd be emailing me, she'd say, "Good for you, Charis. You should be proud of yourself. Look what you're doing." And so it was a very, very positive experience with them. Over a period of about 20 years, we amassed a huge debt load. And I, um, I had just sort of given up. I didn't think it was ever going to be paid off. I didn't know where to go, where to turn, who to help. I tried a couple of things, borrowing on your mortgage and stuff like that, which just doesn't work. And a friend of mine suggested calling Credit Counseling Society. Fear, I guess, to start off with, helplessness. Those bills would come in the mail, and it was like stabbing yourself in the stomach every time you looked at one of those bills because I just knew that it was bigger than I could ever deal with, and it was helpless, just really feeling like there was no way out. And we had dug ourselves into a bottomless pit, essentially, and I couldn't see any way out. I didn't think that other people were looking at me differently because it was a big secret. I didn't want to admit it to anybody. My husband wasn't even aware of most of it. And so it was a big dirty secret for me, and I was ashamed of it. I was embarrassed by it. So I wouldn't tell anybody. There's just my girlfriend that suggested that I call credit counseling. I confided in her. We were just talking about finances one day. And yeah, it was hard to admit it to anybody. I kind of felt like a failure. And yet I've got a good job. I'm a smart person. And yet that it just happened. Yeah, yeah, there likely is. It I get the feeling that, like, is somebody going to look down on me? I had somebody ask me not too long ago, "Were you one of these, like a habitual shopper or something like that, like an out of control person?" And no, I wasn't. It was just things come up, and you have to purchase them for, not a trip to Europe, a new fridge, a washer and dryer, whatever. Uh, I'm gonna have to have a little sip of water. I'm
That's
getting,
okay.
yeah. So it wasn't like I was, as I say, buying trips to Europe and that sort of thing. It was everyday things, and it was like, well, we need a new washer and dryer, so okay, we'll just put those on plastic and we'll pay it off later. But later never came, and then another thing comes up, and another thing, and I didn't know how to live on cash, really. I just What was in my bank was all earmarked for something, and it wasn't paying off all the credit card. So yeah, it just kept getting worse. I was to the point of desperation. It was hopeless. I just felt hopeless, and I didn't know what to do. I knew I needed help, and I could not see the light at the end of the tunnel. And As soon as that silly commercial with the guy on the lady's back, that's exactly how it was for me. As soon as I signed up with credit counseling, I gave it to them. I gave them the responsibility. I gave them the knife in the stomach every month because I didn't have to deal with that because credit counseling took over that part and they paid my bills for me. I gave them a set amount every month and then they dealt with it. I didn't have to deal with it, and it was such a relief. It was, yeah, it was. I felt, and I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. I knew I was actually doing something about my debt and about this bottomless pit that I thought I was in. So I didn't feel helpless anymore. Compassion, because I've been there, done it. So I feel sorry for people. And that's why I I feel like some kind of a holy roll or something, like a missionary, because I want everybody to know that there's a way out and there is hope, because I know that I felt helpless and didn't think there was a way out. So every opportunity I get, I tell people that there is a way out, and credit counseling was my way out. And I just want everyone to know about it. But like I said before, I felt like I was going to be judged by them. I really felt like I would get some snippy, condescending person on the phone when I was talking to them. And like, I'm reaching out, I'm vulnerable, and I was afraid that somebody was going to be mean to me, I guess, and judge me. And so that's why I hesitated for so long. I really didn't realize that this was a way out of my situation, that it was going to be so helpful and it was going to change my life and give me so many opportunities that I couldn't have when I was in such debt. Yeah, in my first call to credit counseling, they actually thought we were going to meet, face to face. And I said, no, I'm in a small town, and okay, we can do it over the phone. Like, everything was being so accommodating for me. And yeah, we'll set you up with a counselor, and then they set you up with you get actual courses, online courses that you can take, and teleconference courses. And so that first phone call just opened up everything, and it was like, I'm really doing this and it's really going to happen. And it was positive right from the start. A relief, a relief. I had finally done it. And like I said, my friend was after me for 2 years, like, call credit counseling. And I've got this, I've got plans. I know I'm going to get this fixed. And no, it never happened. But then that first call to credit counseling, I knew that I had taken a step in the right direction, and I was going to get help, and I was going to finally see the end of that whole nightmare. No, it wasn't like a huge change in my life or anything. They set me up right away. They set me up with a budget, and everything was included, birthdays, and, everything was included in this budget that I had never done before for myself. And then you have the teleconference courses and stuff. So it was gradual, and yet you were enmeshed in it immediately, and I just felt so supported by them. And there
That's a good time to stop.
Yeah, it wasn't one big giant step. It was a series of little steps getting involved with credit counseling, and they did gradual things, and they figured out a budget, and they got me set up with some online courses and that sort of thing on budgeting and saving and that sort of thing. And the first teleconference that I had with them was very uplifting for me because there was myself and another gentleman and another woman on this teleconference. And they were both in worse debt than I was. And I thought, holy cow, like I thought I was really doing horribly. And as mean as it sounds, it was heartwarming for me to know that there were people in worse condition out there. So that just kind of really reinforced why I want to be able to spread the word, because I know there's so many of us out there that are in debt and they don't know where to go. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't share it with anybody. I felt like I was carrying it all by myself. Like I said, my husband wasn't even aware that we were in as bad condition as we were in. Very alone. Because I was doing it all on my own. I wasn't sharing the information with anybody. And I did feel very alone. Extremely stressed, like I was carrying the whole burden myself, and I guess I was. Extremely achievable, yeah. I didn't think that it was, but I saw it myself, so I know that it's very achievable, but I could not have done it without credit counseling. They guided me through, they helped emotionally as well as just actually taking over the bill payments. And it's very achievable. Yeah, now that I have achieved my goal, I have, just with talking to other people and sharing my experience, I just realized that there's so many people out there that are in the same situation that I was in. And they're floundering as well, and they don't know where to go for help. And because I've seen the end of it myself, I've seen that achievement, and it's such a wonderful feeling. It's just, it's amazing. It's like winning a lottery, really. Not that I know how that feels, but anyway. But I want to make sure that as many people as possible out there who are in the same situation that I was in, I want them to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is help. And this is how you get it. I guess there was a tipping point that finally pushed me to actually call credit counseling. I kept thinking that I had everything under control. I was paying the minimum. I was spinning my tires and going nowhere. And I knew that, but I still kept thinking, well, I've got another idea. And I took out a line of credit. That didn't work. I borrowed on our mortgage twice. And there wasn't enough in that amount to pay off the full debt. So I just was back in the same situation. So I finally ran out of ideas. And I was desperate. And so I finally called. It was the best phone call I ever made. For me, the biggest lesson is how to live on what you have, to live on cash, and not to be dependent on credit cards. I used to joke about how I have to keep working because I have to support all my plastic children. And that was pretty much what was happening. But I have learned to live on what I make, and it's comfortable. It's not. I always thought it would be scary because, it's just not enough. But it is, because you just, I guess, budgeting. You learn how to budget. You learn how to live within your means, and not just, we can put it on plastic and pay it off later. That didn't work. I guess for me, the hardest part was just finally admitting that I wasn't going anywhere, and I really needed the help. But after that, it was all so positive. It wasn't hard at all. Because like I said, they took over the bill payment. They took all that stress away from me. I knew I still had the debt, but every month they send you a printout and you can see the debt going down, down, down. And that, it was a very easy experience for me. The hardest part was just finally admitting that I needed the help and I needed to call them. I think that was the hardest part. Oh, when I was getting close to the end, I was fairly giddy with excitement. I really was. And then that last payment, holy cow, it just felt so great. And my counselors on the phone, you did it. And she was wonderful. But it was so uplifting and such a relief. I just wanted to tell everybody, and that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to tell as many people as possible what a fabulous experience it was and how much it helped me. It was several small steps, and they walked me through them. They set up like a budget for me. They set up courses for me. So we took these. I took a course on how to save and a course on budgeting, and it's all provided by credit counseling. And you gradually just get into the swing of things, I guess. But they walk you through it, so it is a number of small steps. Debt is the devil, I'll tell you. It's horrible, but it's so easy to get into. I mean, our society, I guess, as long as you're paying the minimum on your card, well, they'll give you another card, and then you get another card. It is so easy to get into debt. But credit counseling made it easy to get out, really. It was a 4.5-year process for me, but that was fast because I didn't think I was ever going to get out of it. I want to pay it forward because I've been there. I've been at the bottom of the black hole thinking that there was no way out, and I know that there's a lot of people out there that are in the same situation that I was in. I want them to know there's a way out, that there's help. Credit counseling was just an amazing experience for me, and as far as I'm concerned, they've saved my life. It was, so I just want others to know that the help is out there. It really is that nasty big man off your back, that's for sure. It really is freedom. I think I told you earlier that I just recently went to Australia to visit my daughter, whom I had not been with for 5 years. I paid for my trip in cash. There was no credit, and the freedom that I feel now, it really is a different way of looking at life, really. It really is freedom. It feels like lighter than air. All that weight on you, all that pressure, the stress, it just goes away. And it's just a wonderful feeling. Oh, amazing. Absolutely amazing. It really is freedom. And yeah, it's comfort, I'm proud of what I've done, but I couldn't have done it without help. Yes, I can do more things that I want. I can enjoy my hobbies. It's just a new life way of looking at life. Not really a new lifestyle, but it's a new way of looking at life with feeling the freedom, comfort, less stress. It's lovely. Just gradually, over a 20-year period, it just kept adding up, and you think, well, we can put this on the credit card, we'll pay it off later. But later never came, and it just grew like a tumor. It was horrible. It just kept getting worse and worse. And as it got bigger, I just felt more helpless and alone and desperate. Like I didn't know there was help. I didn't know there was anything available, so I did feel very alone, isolated. I guess I felt, stupid. Even though I knew I wasn't a stupid person, I felt and guilty and all those horrible things that you feel. And but it was just a gradual thing, and all of a sudden it's this monster that you just can't do anything about. At least that's the way you feel. No, I didn't tell anybody. It was a big dirty secret, and I was carrying it all by myself, and that was it was very, very stressful and lonely. Yeah, I couldn't even share it with my husband. I was the owner of the plastic, and like I said, it was a gradual thing. You just kept getting worse and worse and worse. But not anymore. The first time I spoke to them on the phone, it was like, help is on the way. The troops are coming. I felt like I wasn't alone in my debt, in my stress. Somebody was going to help, and it was such a relief for me at that time to speak to somebody that understood, that was compassionate about it. They weren't judging me, and it was like therapy almost. I was able to actually talk to somebody about it, and I knew that I was finally on the path to getting out of debt, and somebody was going to help me. Now that I'm out of debt, I want to pay it forward, because I know there's so many people that are in the same situation as me. I've been talking about credit counseling and singing their praises ever since I first signed up with them. And in doing that, I keep running into people that are in the same situation that I was. So I know they're out there, and I just want to share the information so that everybody that needs to know can know that there is help out there.